who was Jesus and what was his understandings. This is my best interpretation of what I believe Jesus's teachings were and who he kind of was. I don't really think he was necessarily a super special person. I think his time called for him, and not just him, but there's more than likely several people like him. I would consider them conduits on the planet, and they come when development needs to change, right? Because you need people that understand that there's a connection other than the materialistic world. So I believe that he was somebody at one time that went around and explained to people that there is another way to live than blinding yourself with materialistic gains. And what it was doing was, at the time, I'm sure things were probably pretty hard for a lot of people. And when you get societies built like that, people don't necessarily help each other out. It's not a societal effort. It's an independent effort to uphold society. And when that happens, everybody's against each other. So when Jesus would go around and do these miracles, quote unquote miracles, I'm pretty sure he was probably doing, good deeds for people that people usually would take for granted because there's nobody out there that would help. There's not anybody that's that nice or that willing. And to common folk at that time, it would be considered a miracle because seeing some faith in somebody like that is a miracle, because it helps heal the people around you. And that's, he was known for being healing. I think we take too much of a literal term as well as a mythical term towards the Bible. And I think we misplace a lot of critical thinking when it comes to that stuff, because I think you need to have your own understanding of the Bible or of any religion, to be honest. Because if you have an understanding of it, then you kind of, if you get it, you actually have an understanding. You don't need the book to explain what the story's telling you. You can see past the symbolism and stuff. You can see past the misconceptions, the filler, you can get past all that, because what you're looking for is the truth. And if there's a bit of truth in there, then it's hidden. And I believe that a lot of things in the Bible were occurrences in the world, but I think what the thing is the idea that we need to document everything and explain why the world is how it is. Because I believe through society and technology and stuff like that, we're trying to, we're in a sense, trying to develop immortality. We're trying to imitate the earth, but we want to have full control over it, in a sense. And that can't happen. It won't happen. It's proved it time and time again. But when societies are bound to crumble, I believe at the end times, there's people that pretty much connect to, quote unquote, the higher self. It's becoming awakened. You're awakening, but instead of awakening and gathering another ego, you're egoless, and your only passion is to spread the truth. And a lot of people have misconceptions on what the truth is. And a lot of people like they have misconceptions on even what the words of Jesus are and stuff. Like what he means. And you can plainly see it when you're somebody who's kind of awakened, because you don't see the symbolism, and then you can see where people get snagged, where people start believing in something mythic or something like that. You can see that, and it's like, well, if you just take that away, then you notice it's just a guy. So if you got to think of the psychological development of people around that time. So him doing something for somebody would be deemed a miracle to me. This walking on water and stuff like that. Like, you don't need to tell me that this dude did something nice for somebody. But I think he was going around and letting people know that there's another way to life, and it was disrupting the structures of society. And when you get the lower class to build together, it can be very dangerous for the top. And his whole idea wasn't to try to push you into doing what you need to. His idea was to let you come into understanding yourself. That's why he had to use words. He couldn't show you because people didn't want to see. The only way they know how to communicate is through words. You know, if you're an awakened person, you understand there's a higher form of communication other than just language. And animals use it. You know, you can believe it or not. That's up to you. But I believe it's there, that communication. And I think it all feeds back to Mother Nature. And all of our society, all of them are all built around trying to take control of Mother Nature, because we're scared of her, because she takes away. She's quote unquote suffering. She's just the physical world. But you can't you can't live without suffering. You can't. You have to accept it. Accept that it's a part of life. Right? Even if it's tremendous suffering, you have to accept that it's a part of life. I'm not saying that you shouldn't feel pain or whatever. You shouldn't cry, you shouldn't get mad. You just need to understand that suffering is here. Right? And that's Jesus was saying that. Like, it's here. But the problem is when we have control, we have societies, we're suffering for our own needs, and we're suffering for our own desires, and we don't need to be suffering those ways. If we lived in nature, what would be considered suffering? Living in the cold, protecting our young from predators, protecting ourselves from predators, making sure we're fed, making sure we have water, making sure, like, these are all just natural things that are that suffering provides little over all these, in these different categories. Like, suffering is depleted through all of it. So it's a little bit of suffering between all of it, because you maintain, you understand, and you adapt to these. It's not, you don't just take it and then run with it and then be like, oh, I don't want to be in the cold no more. I don't want to be chased by a bear. I don't want this. I don't want that. And then block yourself off from the world. And then what happens when you do that is you start living too comfortably and too securely. So now you start making inventions and stupid shit that people don't need to, because you've already got the people in the wall. You've already got them scared, and you already got the security. Now you just got to profit off them, right? And to destroy that, somebody would have to be willing to step on people's toes, be willing to embrace people's dark sides, because they are light on the inside. Jesus was known for that too. I think the biggest problem is Jesus didn't want followers. He didn't want followers. He wanted people to stand beside him and let him know that they understand exactly what he's talking about. Because the whole idea was for him to get back to Eden, Mother Nature. That's where Eden's at. It's Mother Nature. That's all it is, just nature. And he was trying to get back to that. And majority of people, and you can see it now, they don't relate with nature. So that's beyond them. Society is all they know. Society is all that life is. So to turn your back on it would be almost impossible. It would feel like it anyway, because taking that type of drastic change to surrender to Mother Nature is something humanity needs to learn tenfold. Because that's the entire message. The reason why he had to spread word was because people wouldn't just follow him into the woods and start living like humans that are a part of the flow of nature, right? He had to go and create words and metaphors and scenarios where people saw the light, and you know what I mean? Like, the idea wasn't to create followers just to lead them into the forest. It was to create people's to open up people's understanding to another side of life, right? Because people, I think this is another misconception too, is forgive them for they know not what they do. I don't believe he died for our sins in a sense that it's the sins we know, right? Because if he states that it's they know not what they do, that means these are sins that you don't recollect. It's not I hit my wife or I slept with somebody else, or it's not that shit. It's upholding the society. It's being blinded by money and wasting your time for money. Wasting your time on a system that doesn't want to help you. It's never wanted to help you. It has never helped you, but we fight for it. That's not what like you're literally fighting for a materialistic world. That's what you're fighting for. And that's not what Jesus wanted, right? He wanted you to give up the materialistic needs. And a lot of people don't see that. They think it's, oh, I need to give up alcohol. I need to give up cigarette. I need to give up this. Yeah, no, those are just small little things that kind of make you feel better when you stop. You're like, oh man, I've been doing this for so long. I need to change. That gives you enough gratification to stay in the system, but not enough to fucking leave it. Right? Like I've asked this before. How many people do you think would survive if the electricity got shut off? Now, I want to state the Georgia Stones, whatever they were, the ones that got bombed a while back. I'm not condoning anything that's written on that stupid thing. But what I am wanting you to do is relate to the words as what would happen if the apocalypse did happen. Not what if it was caused. What if it just happened? What if a fucking comet, a chunk of comet hit us and it knocked out a huge wipe of us? What would happen? What do you think would happen? You know what I mean? What do you think? Not even that. Well, just electricity. What do you think would happen if electricity got shut off and people were no longer dependent on their refrigerators, their whatever? Oh, what about gas generator? Eventually the gas will be out because the pumps aren't working. Oh, they got backup pumps. Then they're going to be run out. You know, the most, when the shit hits the fan, if it hits the fan, whatever. If it doesn't. But if it does, the first thing people's going to start looting is the dumbest of fucking shit. The dumbest of shit. The stuff you don't need. But if they understand that it's serious, they might. But, like, because of how many people do you honestly think will assume that it's just going to turn back on? How many people do you think would wake up and just go to work? How many people do you think would go to the drive-through at a fucking fast food restaurant during a fucking apocalypse? How many people do you think, honestly? I think it's sad to say that it wouldn't be zero. That's what I think. And that's what we're like. Jesus died on the cross because he tried to show us the way to back to the Garden of Eden, but we chose society. That's what it feels like. That's what I gather from all of that. The snake in the Garden of Eden wasn't a snake. It was a liar that told, quote unquote, Adam and Eve, there's another way to live, and it's not being surrendered by these monsters, quote unquote, whatever they said. Because the idea of Eden is you have to give your right of control, right? You can no longer have the control. And like people don't want that. People want the control. And that's the blinding. That's you have to embrace the mother, right? God's given you the insight to get you back to Mother Nature. Father God is giving you the insight to get back to Mother Nature. That's what God's here for. Mother Nature's here too. We don't need to neglect her. We need to love her and embrace her and understand that just because suffering is a thing, you're still here for us, because the human race will still continue. We'll still find food to eat. We'll still find land to sleep. Like those Georgia stones. Like I said, I don't condone any of the shit. Whatever, it's a stupid, whatever the fuck it is. But the wording on it, like it's symbolism for a thing. Like you don't want to agree to it because you think it's just a pandemic that's going to wipe out everybody, or it's a controlled this or deliberate that. And it's like they don't have to literally do anything. The only thing they have to do is cut off your fucking dependency to the government and let you back out in nature. You would be like a wild animal you would be like a captive animal set back into the wild. Majority of people would not survive. And then you see that the population is 500 million. What do you think Mother Nature is going to do when people get back to nature? It's a hard pill to fucking swallow, but it's going to wean out the weak. It's going to wean out the sick. And it's going to wean out the undetermined. Or not I wouldn't say undisciplined. But if you have no ambitions to help or be a part of something other than just yourself, then you won't survive. That's because it's putting life into your hands. Like if you think you have control of your life now, what if the electricity got shut off tomorrow? How much control do you actually have of your life? Because where would you find food if the grocery stores were empty? Where would you find water if the bottles were gone? Seriously. Like you want to think that Mother Nature is peaceful and just embrace you. No, you have to work to be in Mother Nature. You have to work to survive to be in Mother Nature. It's not just a fucking wool hammock isn't just made for you and hanging between two willow trees for you to come and suck down coconut milk. Like nature's not peaceful. Anybody that ever fucking told you there's peace in nature, but nature is also chaos too. And to think that we're any form outside of nature is a sickness. The idea is to get rid of that idea and to get back to nature. Now, the paradox to this is it has to happen anyway. For us to understand how important nature is and how important the world is, we have to build societies. And this is what a paradox is, because it takes everything that you fucking know and it flips it up on its ass. And then now you have to understand these shitty fucking people have to do what they need to do in order for us to honestly love and care for our planet. It literally takes that. Because I don't know about you, but usually change happens during tremendous turmoil. Or at least what you believe is tremendous turmoil. You quit smoking because you got sick. whatever. Sometimes change happens in the most unpredictable way. But you have to live with it. You have to accept it. You have to embrace it. You can't control it. Trying to control means it turns into this. We can do everything we want. Don't you think people don't know that? Everybody's chasing a goddamn dream. There's nobody awake around here anymore. You can't even have an in-depth conversation with people because the only thing they want to fucking talk about is how much they make an hour, why they hate their fucking job, and who's playing this weekend. Like, they don't give a fuck in any form of depth. It bores them. It bores them. They wouldn't be willing to connect to Mother Nature. To be honest, some of them might be. Like I said, change happens through turmoil sometimes. A drastic change can make a change. But I think a lot of people have misconceptions on religion. I don't think it's one of the dumbest things, I think, is giving up a religion for another religion. Jesus didn't want you to have religion. He wanted you to believe in the religion, which would be the worship of the planet, worship of the sun, not the creepy fucking Saturn bullshit. No, just the sun gives you energy, all the energy we need. It gives us all the energy. That's where our energy comes from. And our suffering is the energy that gets put back towards the sun. Because in order for us to keep the distance that we have from the sun, we have to emit the same amount of energy as the sun does. And our resistance in this life, our stress and our struggling, is what helps keep us balanced in this world. We have to suffer. Suffering is inevitable. You can't change that. Suffering is the reason we're here. But Mother Nature gave us the capabilities to love, too. She gave us a heart. She gave us a warm place for our soul to do whatever work we needed to do, to branch our souls out to any direction we needed. She provided us with comfort, love. Sure, she gets mad sometimes. Sure, she yells. Sure, she throws things. But you know what? She's still there. She's always there. She's under your feet right now. You might be closing her off with the walls beside you, never experiencing the night sky, but blue light behind a screen and a controller in your hand. And you're missing out on so much. That's all I got.